Hey Internet, Eric here. Well, I finally made it to the end of my Nightmare on Elm Street film retrospective here on my channel concerning the original films. So, cutting to the chase, we're talking Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This came out in 1994. Written and directed by Wes Craven, the creator of the original film. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do discuss plot spoilers and specific scenes, so watch at your own risk. Basic plot here in a nutshell is we're following Heather Langenkamp. She was Nancy in parts 1 and 3. She's playing herself. A lot of people in this movie play themselves. John Saxon from part 1, Robert Englund, Wes Craven plays himself, Bob Shaye from New Line Cinema. Very meta, or breaking the fourth wall, I think that's what it is. We're following her, and basically she's put the Freddy stuff behind her. And it's now the 10th anniversary of the first film, and she finds out, because she meets up with Bob Shaye, that Wes has started to write horror films again, and he's writing a new Freddy script. And since then, things have gone a little batshit for Heather. She's getting things in the mail. She's getting harassing phone calls. Her son Dylan, played by Miko Hughes from Pet Sematary and Kindergarten Cop and Mercury Rising, he's starting to act like Freddy, even though she says he's never seen any of the Freddy stuff. I mentioned spoilers, so her husband is killed after she finds out he's working on a prototype for a new glove. Eventually, she meets with Wes Craven, and Wes tells her that Freddy... There's more to it, so it's easier to watch the film and have Wes explain it. But basically, he's saying Freddy has found a way to come out of the film world into reality, and he's after Heather because Heather is the one that played Nancy and gave her her strength, and she's the one that defeated him initially. Okay. I'm going to tell you what, man. I love parts 1. I love part 3. I go back and forth between them as my favorite, but hands down, this is definitely in my top 3. This is number 3 when I'm done figuring out 1 and 3, which I like better. Wow. Heather Langenkamp is great here. It's the best she's done. She's a lot better than she did in part 1. Hell of a lot better than the phone-in that she did in part 3. You believe her fear. You believe the worry she has for her son, how much she cares. You believe her as a mother, wanting to protect her child. Her relationship with her husband Chase is, there's not a lot of screen time Chase has, but they have a really good chemistry. You can tell that they care about each other. She's got a great scream. She's good at being intense. She's really, really good here. Robert Englund, as himself, he's used sparingly. He's just there to say some dialogue. But when he's Freddy, love him. Freddy's no longer the goof that he's been in the past few sequels. He's scary and he's got a new look. This glove here is just from the opening sequence, the robotic glove, which still looks cool. But he's got different, you can see the sinew here in his new makeup. His eyes, I believe he's got different contacts. The sweater is a different color. I mean, it's still like the red and the green, but it's like a darker tone. Here you go. His glove is now part of him. You see the bone structure. The knives are coming actually out of the fingernails, kind of like in part 2. And then you can't see it here, but underneath, you see the muscles. And like in the tendons and stuff like that, so it's really cool. And he's back to being scary. He taunts when he's after Heather. There's a great jump scare. He jumps out of the closet and gets her. He yells, "Miss me!" And they're wrestling on the bed, kind of like in part 1. Lots of references to part 1 here. And he gets close to her and he just whispers Nancy before she gets away. He wears like leather pants now. He's got a trench coat. Badass. I love how he likes to taunt little Dylan. There's a scene eventually in the end. It's weird. Heather Langenkamp enters Freddy's domain, and it's like Greek columns and stuff like that. Really neat looking set design. And she got knocked out, and Dylan's running around yelling "mommy," and you hear him mocking him and saying, "Mommy, where's your mommy now, piglet?" Great. I love that whole sequence where he's taunting Dylan. Like I said, he's scary again. Love it. Probably one of my favorite portrayals of Freddy since the original, or at least since Dream Warriors. Excuse me, so good. John Saxon shows up. He does really good, trying to be like the father figure to Heather. Wes Craven does decent for acting-wise, as for being a director. I like Tracy Middendorf. She plays Julie, the babysitter. And, really good, best friend for Heather Langenkamp. Really good as a protector for Dylan. She's probably got the coolest death in this movie. They recreate the Tina bedroom walk, or whatever you call it, where she's dragged up the walls and the ceiling. But it's got an added twist. You actually see Freddy this time, and Freddy again is taunting Dylan. It's great. Love it. Miko Hughes, though. I just don't like him. I don't like him at all. He can scream good, I guess, but there's just something about him. The overacting, maybe it's just because he's like 10. I don't know. And maybe it's because I hate kid actors 90% of the time. The overacting, the wailing, the crying, the whispering, I don't like him. I don't like him at all. So, and then who I want to praise is, I don't know the actress's name, but she plays Dylan's doctor. And after he has his last episode, after Chase is killed and Dylan tries to reach God in a really cool scene at the playground, Heather takes him into the hospital, and his doctor is just some black actress. I don't know her name, sorry, but I love the way how when we first meet her, she wants to take care of Dylan. She's worried about him. She knows, and it's just her performance. She's got this quiet, calming voice, and she says, "Has he been through any shock? You haven't let him see the horror films that you've been in." She keeps going this and that, and then her intensity gets built up, and she, more episodes happen, and Heather keeps causing trouble, trying to get to Dylan, and of course the doctor doesn't believe him, and then her voice starts to go, "I'm sure that these horror films that you've been in are causing these episodes, Mrs. Langenkamp." I love how she doesn't call her Heather, she doesn't do it, it's always Miss Langenkamp. And then this actress does a whole 180 in a dream sequence where Heather falls asleep and Dylan's having an episode, and then the doctor runs in, and in a really cool scene, they strap Nancy to the chair while she's watching all this, and she says, "This little booger's got something evil in him." Her voice deepens, and it's the actress says, "Let's cut this evil out of him." And she raises up the hand that's now the Freddy gloves with scalpels on it. I love her calm, soothing voice and how it slowly gets more menacing and more menacing as she cares for Dylan and gets frustrated seeing this stuff happen to him. And then in the dream sequence, badass. The score is great, especially during the intense moments, like when Dylan gets out of the hospital and he's going home. Nancy has to get in her car and drive across the freeway to save him. Just the score is just dead on with the fast action. I love the final score after Freddy's defeated and everybody's okay. It's just in your face, wonderful score, badass. I don't think it says. It doesn't say on this who did it. Anyways, fantastic score, love it. It's a soundtrack that I want to get. There are some really good sequences. When Freddy takes out Chase, Heather's husband. He's driving down the highway, falls asleep after singing some REM, which is kind of neat because REM, REM sleep. I'm a nerd, sorry. The glove claws him, and it's a really quick, but it's a really good, gore scene with the blood shooting everywhere. I love it. There's a lot of puke in this movie between Dylan and Heather. I mentioned the Julie scene. The scene where she's trying to save Dylan while Dylan's walking across the highway and Freddy's tormenting him and coming out of the sky and picking Dylan up and swinging him in between all the moving cars. And you see the hundreds of Freddys chasing him. And even though you can tell it's blue screen, green screen, or whatever, when Heather's getting out and she's running across the highway, her dodges are perfect between the cars. The editing is just so good here. Plus, with that score, it's just a fantastic scene. Lots of nods to part one. Freddy's still obsessed with tongues. The screw your past shows up again. That line. The gray hair. So much fun stuff. The stairs that she gets caught in during the final fight between her and Freddy, which is really good. Freddy is, like I said, he's scary again. He's taunting Dylan. He says, hey little boy, I got some gingerbread for you. You know, as you know, Nancy's trying to get up in the back, because they're for some reason, I don't like this. There's a lot of references to Hansel and Gretel, which kind of gets old. Not a big fan of it, but But because of that, he can act like he's the little witch trying to get Dylan into like his domain, which I do like. So half and half. Another thing I actually don't like is there's this subplot where Dylan has this little dinosaur, this stuffed dinosaur named Rex, and he keeps at the bottom of his bed to keep the bad man with the claws away. And and eventually just Rex gets sliced, and by the end of it, Rex gets torn up, which is a cool little build up, but it's just Miko Hughes' performance on the necessity of having Rex just makes me hate it. So not a fan of that. I don't know how much more I could praise this movie. Another nod that from part one, right here, at the end of part one, when all the shit has happened, Freddy comes out of the bed and he slices down and pulls himself out of the bed sheet as Nancy's not paying him any attention. Well, it's great. There's a scene where it's in Heather's home and they're talking about Dylan's episodes and this and that, and it happens, and of course he's got the different look and he peels himself out slowly. The smoke's coming out and it's to this intense score. It's really cool, and the way Wes Craven cuts it, you got the close-ups of Freddy's face, you got the close-up of his glove, then the blade coming out. You got to really, I don't know why it's one of my favorite shots, but it's a close-up of Freddy's foot as he's coming out of the bed, and it just slams down on like one of Dylan's toy helicopters. Just a close-up of his boot. It just looks so menacing, like he's here to destroy Dylan. And then I really like it because then we cut to a shot of like Dylan's wall, and we see the shadow of Freddy just walking across it like Nosferatu, the old silent film. And then we get the close shot of the claw. Really smart stuff. Really good. I really, really like it. And like I said, so many nods, so many great inside, Easter eggs, I guess they're now called, from part one. I don't know how much more I can praise this film. Not that much I don't like, other than really Miko Hughes, the Rex stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it. I do wish they could have maybe had like Robert Englund terrorized by Freddy a little bit. That would have been kind of cool to see that happen. It doesn't. It's not necessary, but I just think that would have been cool to see. But strong performance by Heather Langenkamp. Some good, quick gore that we do see. Overall, strong cast. The only problem I have is little Miko. Fantastic score. Fantastic nods to the original. Freddy is scary again. I love the updated look. Highly, highly recommend if you quit watching Freddy movies because how jokey Freddy's Dead was, give Wes Craven's New Nightmare a shot. Trust me, because it is not Freddy's Dead. It's actually, as much as I love and hate Freddy's Dead, this one is just so damn good. It's so damn smart. It's a great concept. Even Wes Craven mentions in his scene, basically how the character gets watered down with all these sequels and stuff. So that's his little, nod to the sequels that he wasn't a part of. I love the opening sequence, which I won't get too into it, but it's a dream sequence with Heather and the new movie being made, and some deaths occur. We get to see the robot Freddy Hand walking around like Thing from Addams Family. CGI isn't the best, but still, overall, it's a great scene, very intense. I keep saying how great this is. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Wonderful. Love it. So, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Click the bell. Share. Don't. It's okay if you don't. Comment below. Tell me if you think I'm right. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Just say something. Or don't. Once I'm finally done with all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, talking about the remakes and then the crossover with Jason, and then I got to do the Friday the 13th remake. I'm finally getting to requests. I have a request to do The Mummy, you know, the Brendan Fraser movie. I'm going to do that one with my wife. What else do I have? I have Beastmaster. I request to do Beastmaster. I have to do Three Ninjas. I have to do Little Hercules. And then, per request of my boys at the Graveyard Shift, the worst horror movie they've possibly seen, Hallow's End. Very, very hard to film to come by, so they were happy enough to download it and send it to me. Yay. Anyways, though, like and subscribe, whatever. Check out Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Cheers, and you ever play Skin the Cat?